Welcome to Vlogmas Day 1. I'm going to be starting out my Vlogmas with my November wrap-up, where I read a whopping 3 books. Yes, go Sam! Hello everyone, it is Samantha. I am here today with my first Vlogmas video and a lovely mug of an eggnog latte that my sister made me, so thanks Amanda. And I decided to start my Vlogmas out with my November wrap-up because it's the 1st of December, November is over, and I read an amazing 3 books, which I think that makes it the least amount I have read in any one month this year. Yeah, it's been a little bit slumpy, just was not feeling the reading bug. It's okay, with the books I did read, I was quite happy with them. So as I said, I read a total of 3 books in the month of November. All of them were female authors, all of them were fantasy, and all of them were published in the year 2000 or later. So I don't have much for you guys to see in the way of pie charts because it would just be a round circle with 100% of all of those things. Anyway, I did read a total of 1,912 pages, which averaged about 64 pages a day. It's not bad. Of the books that I read, however, one was mass market, one was a trade paperback, and one was an ebook, so I was kind of fairly split in that way. So now that I'm done with the statistics, not that there was much to tell you guys this month, let us move on to the books and what I thought of them. So the first book that I finished the month of November was a reread, and that was Innocent Mage by Karen Miller. This is a first book in a duology, the Kingmaker, Kingbreaker duology, and it follows our hero Asher. Asher decides to travel to the big city from his little fishing town to kind of make a name for himself, get some money, and bring it back so he can set himself up and his dad as well, and kind of get away from the tyranny of his brothers, because his brothers are basically asshats. Yes. So, Asher travels to the big city, and he ends up saving the prince's life from a horse that almost bucked him, and he ends up going into the prince's service and kind of becoming his right-hand man. Asher ends up unwittingly becoming involved in court politics and the politics of the realm and befriending our lovely Prince Gar. So, a lot of adventure ensues. Asher has a bigger part to play in this world as he is the foretold, the one that was supposed to come and bring a change to this world that they live in, but he doesn't quite know it yet. So a lot of interesting things happen. There isn't a whole lot of magic in the first book, a little bit of magic. It's a very interesting magic too because it's this weather magic, and this weather magic basically protects the realm. It keeps this magical dome around this land that keeps it safe from the evil outside world, because outside world is basically devastation and ruin. I guess you could equate it to if Sauron won and Middle Earth sucked, except for this one little place. That's basically what it would be like. So anyway, the rulers have the ability to use this weather magic, and when they use the weather magic to bring rain or whatever to this realm, it reinforces the shield. So it's a very important magic for these noble people, but there's also other magics such as healing magics and things like that. So Asher gets involved in all of this politics, and it ends on a bit of a cliffhanger that I don't want to tell you because it'd be very spoiler filled, but overall I ended up enjoying it. I still don't seem to have enjoyed it as much as I did the first time I read it, but part of that's probably because it's been about 6 years since I did read it, 6-7 years, so my taste changed and I've read a lot more fantasy since then, even more fantasy, so you know, you kind of get a taste for really good writing and things like that. Overall I think Karen Miller does a really good job with Asher as a character. I think she does a good job with the dialogue, particularly with Asher. It kind of has this Cockney kind of an accent, I would almost describe it as being. And he's definitely a very fun and interesting character. I think the other characters lacked a little bit of character development, which made it a little less enjoyable for me, and I think that she drew out the plot a lot more than she needed to. Not a whole lot happens in this book, and I think that it could definitely have been one book as some unnecessary plot things have been cut out. So overall, I ended up rating it 3 out of 5 stars. Not the best book I've read or reread, but also not the worst. The next book that I finished in the month of November was Fool's Sasson by Robin Hobb, the first book in the Fitz and the Fool trilogy. This one takes up about 10-15 years after the end of Fool's Fate and a few years after the end of the Rainwell's Chronicles. Fitz is now about 45, almost 50 years old, and he has been living in peace for quite some time. But then some things come into his life that change that, and he gets kind of thrust back into politics and whatnot. I didn't want to give too much more because this is the 4th trilogy by Robin Hobb, and so I will spoil you with so many things if I go into any more plot details than that. But suffice it to say, I really enjoyed this one a lot. I really, really like Fitz, particularly as he grows as a character. From the first trilogy to this one, he's like a completely different person. I mean, I think this book ends, he's about 60. So you go from 15-year-old Fitz to 60-year-old Fitz. He's definitely progressed as a character and grown as an adult, and I really like mature Fitz, and I like how he kind of wants to live his life now. So I really enjoyed Fitz as a character. Not a lot happened. It's like, I don't know how to describe it. I guess I thought a lot more would happen in this book than it did. So that was kind of weird, but I still really enjoyed it because Robin Hobb has a very slow way of telling her story that I really enjoy, and the first book is always a setup book. Also in this book, she introduces a second character perspective. So usually with the Fitz books, you get the story told entirely from Fitz's perspective, but in this one, she adds another character's first-person perspective, which I think was really interesting and offset Fitz's perspective quite well. So I really enjoyed that about this book. Overall, I ended up rating it 4 out of 5 stars. I would have liked to see a little bit more action in this one that I have come to expect from her books. Not quite a whole lot happened, but I still really enjoyed it, hence this 4 out of 5 star rating. And the third and final book that I finished in the month of November was Fool's Quest, the second book in the Fitz and the Fool trilogy. This one picks up exactly where the first one left off, and even more action and pain and suffering and tears ensued, because Robin Hobb is all good about wrangling those tears from you, but there were some actually very, very good vindicating moments. So if you follow Fitz's story from the very beginning, there are some moments in this series where you'll be like, yes! Because that's pretty much my reaction. So I really enjoyed this one. A lot more happened. It was definitely a very emotional journey, but I really liked it and rated it 5 out of 5 stars. So that's it for the books that I actually finished in the month of November. I did start 3 more, but did not finish them. Hope to do so in December, though. The first one of those is Dragon Prince by Melanie Ron. This is a very excellent sounding fantasy series that a lot of people I know really enjoy. It is an older fantasy, and I love 80s and 90s fantasy, so it's right up my alley, as I've said before. It follows this young prince, and he soon becomes the prince of the land, the Dragonlands, this desert area where, as a prince, you are meant to kill these dragons that are kind of inhabiting the land, and they're considered a nuisance. But he doesn't want to kill them, and he feels that they hold a bigger secret to this land and everything that keeps everything in place. And that was a horrible description, so I'm really sorry. I'm still not very far into it, about 50 pages into it, but I'm really enjoying it so far. It's kind of a hard story to explain because I don't entirely know what it's about myself yet. I'm going off the back of the book, so we're just starting to get hints of what's to come. So far, it seems like there's kind of an interesting magic system that has to do with light and sun, which I really find interesting. So I am enjoying this one and hope to continue on and finish it in December. The second one I actually think I started in October, but I didn't get much of it read at all in November, and that was The Fellowship of the Ring by J.R.R. Tolkien. This was another reread for me, and one that I'm really enjoying. So I always love returning to Lord of the Rings and The Fellowship of the Ring. It's great to be back with Middle-earth with the gang, so definitely a nostalgic read for me, and I'm kind of taking my time with it because it is just so enjoyable. And the third book I finished, and I'm really, really liking now, is The Crystal Cave by Mary Stewart. I'm about chapter 12, I think, and it's really starting to pick up now. It's an Arthurian retelling told from Merlin's perspective, and it starts out when he's a small child and he kind of gets older as the story goes along. I think right now he's like 13. And it's really starting to pick up. The story's really interesting. There's definitely some elements from Arthurian legends that I recognize, and some that I recognize also that they included in the show Merlin, which if you guys have followed my channel for a while, you will know I love the show Merlin. So I'm really enjoying that, and then I really like Mary Stewart's writing, and I can't wait to finish this one up in December as well. Alright guys, that is it for the books that I read and started in the month of November. You'll have to let me know what your favorite book was from the month of November and what your most anticipated read is from December. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, happy reading. Bye!